You know, as we grow older, we think back a lot about our kids and things that happened. Well, years ago, I was coaching Brian's baseball team. It was probably 8 and 9-year-old boys, and they were always late to practice. So one day I called them all in at the end of practice. I said, look guys, we got to get to practice on time, so I'm going to start treating you like big leaguers. If you're late to practice, you get fined $500. Well, one of the boys in that crowd raised his hand and he said, well, what happens if we get here on time? I said, you get attaboy. Well, this was right at the time that Nintendo had come out with their Game Boy, and many of you guys that are 30 years of age and something now had one when you were a child. Well, on the way home, Brian asked me, he said, Dad, what's an attaboy? I reached over and put my arm around him on his shoulders and said, patted him and said, attaboy. And he said, oh man, you tricked the whole team. Well, you know, the next practice came and everybody was there on time except for one boy. That boy I knew had a conflict. He had karate lessons right before practice and I knew he was going to be late. As practice started, I was hitting infield to everybody and I saw out in left field car pull up. Jonathan got out of that car and started running down the field. And he got almost to third base and I said, Jonathan, you're late. $500 fine. And he just kept running with a big smile on his face. Got close to me and he stuck his hand in his pocket and he pulled out a $500 bill of Monopoly money and gave it to me. I saw his mother up on the fence out in left field. She was just laughing. It was really funny. But you know, one thing we need to realize is how important it is for us to give people attaboy, attagirl. Not just for young children, but for everyone that we come in contact with. I want to turn to Hebrews chapter 3. I'm going to begin reading verse 12 and 13. See to it, brothers, that none of you has a sinful, unbelieving heart, turns away from the living God. But encourage one another daily, as long as it is called today, so that none of you may be hardened by sin's deceitfulness. Got some homework for you before our next video. Think about that verse. Think about how encouraging one another can keep us from being hardened by sin's deceitfulness. Be safe. Stay well out there.